folks, and welcome back to another episode in this new year of Pinal Prep Spotlight, brought to you by 911 Air Repair, your local air conditioning experts specializing in maintenance, repair, and new installations. We are kind of changing things up this year. Things are going to be a bit shorter for us. We are only going to be talking about our game of the week, which is a Friday game. It is CG Union. They are going to be hosting Gilbert Campo Verde, and unfortunately for us, Campo Verde doesn't have a lot of stats, well, any stats really, posted on Max Prep. So all we know right now is AIA rankings came out this week, the first ones of the year, and Campo is ranked at number 18 in the 5A conference, and they are also the defending champs in the 5A conference. So we're going to be talking about our local team in CG Union. David, what can you tell me about the Cougars?
Well, before I get into it, first of all, it feels good to be back in the studio because, we've been off for a couple weeks, and then our last installation of Pinal Press Spotlight, I was, in your words, out of commission, so it's good to be back in here, and when we're talking about CG Union basketball, I think it all kind of starts and ends with sophomore Avion Williams. He has been the top prize and just the guy that we've looked at for a long time, of the guy that's going to change a lot of things, not just on the basketball court but also on the football field. He's a dual sport athlete. The kid is just a huge threat, and he is a solid player. And the big thing that we've talked about with him over the last few years when he's gotten his start is controlling his emotions on the floor. That's always been the question with CG Union. If he can control that and dial that in, he is going to be a serious problem for a lot of people in the 5A conference. And he's starting off pretty strong for the start of the season. He's averaging about 16 points a game. His rebounds, he's only got like 3.3 right now. I think he could bump that up just a little bit, but he is going to be a huge defensive and offensive piece for this team. He's going to be the guy moving forward. He's going to be a really good pick and roll guy coming off of screens and driving to the lane and getting good layups. I want to see what his jump shooting looks like. I haven't had the chance to see him yet this year, but I think if he has a solid jump shot, he could also just elevate his game and elevate Casa Grande as well. This was a team that made the play-in last year and just missed out on actually getting into the playoffs, but I know they have their eyes set. Head coach there, Chad Holmes, has done a really good job with them of getting them acclimated to the 5A program and the 5A schedule, because it's definitely its own beast after a few years in 4A and now moving into 5A the last couple of years. So I really expect there's some good things from this team if they, as long as both Avion Williams and the rest of the team, for that matter, can really control their emotions and dial that in and dial that part of the game down. They're going to be a great team, and I think they can definitely, maybe bypass the play-in and possibly make a playoff spot. It just all comes down to, can they control both the on-the-court and the off-the-court situations. Really like this team, expecting them to win this one and just move on and continue to have a stellar season.
So it's going to be a long week for CG Union. This is going to be their third game this week. It is going to be the second of back-to-back on Thursday. They're going to be on the road at Paradise Valley. So I feel like fatigue might kind of become a factor for CG Union here. David talked about Avion Williams. We also got to talk about Dwayne Haygood. These two guys are the leading scorers right now. And a big key thing here is they're kind of coming off the bench right now. Both of these guys were out for a majority of the start of the season. They were dealing with those football injuries. They only got back over Christmas break when CG Union co-hosted, I guess you could call it that, Central Arizona Holiday Tournament, and these guys, they did a pretty good job, but we got to talk about the rest of the team, like Trevor Tacker, Jay Olson, Cameron Armstrong, Taven Williams. All of these guys have tried to hold their own while Haygood and Avion Williams were out, and they've done a solid job for CG Union. An additional point for them is that they have garnered that playing experience. They know what to expect at the 5A level, and they can just help once everybody comes together and kind of gels, and seeing what their potential is, where their forte is on the court, and what they can contribute to the team. I really want to talk about Cameron Armstrong. He is not the biggest guy on the court, just a sophomore. He's their point guard right now because Devontae Powell is out for the season with an injury. And Armstrong, I mentioned it, not the biggest kid on the court, but he is leading the team in blocks. He has 10 blocks, so this kid is doing something great. And like I mentioned it, just a sophomore. The potential for the CG Union team is unlimited right now. They haven't even tapped into what they can do. Avion Williams is a sophomore. Cameron Armstrong is a sophomore. A lot of these other guys are also underclassmen. So, like David mentioned it, last year they made it to the play-in game. What can they do to build off of that this year and for the future? Exciting things are coming here with CG Union, and like David mentioned it, with their head coach and Chad Howell. So we will just have to wait and see what lies ahead for them. As always, be sure to tune in to Pinal Central for all of your local sports coverage.